I'll start today with the book by Tim Irwin. If you'll turn to that presentation outline, this book is called Derailed. It was on the bestseller list of the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, Business Week, and several other publications for a little while. And this book will remind you a lot of the Jim Collins books. There is a lot of resonance and correlation with Good to Great and also How the Mighty Fall in this book. So if you have read those books or came to the synopses of the Jim Collins book, you'll notice a lot of similarity here. I do want to warn you that this is not upbeat. This is not a fun book. You know, we're talking about people who fell and fell from grace and lost a lot of money, and they didn't commit suicide. But I just want to tell you, this is not an upbeat book when you talk about derailment. But if you're a person who believes that you learn from mistakes, and you make a mistake and you learn from it, which means you don't repeat the mistake, because if you repeat the mistake, it's a bad investment, then this is a book that has a lot of lessons about what happens in that circumstance. The question is, what messages could you be ignoring? And the major thing is, if you want to fool somebody, you've read the book, here's what you tell them. Derailment is due to a failure of character. Okay, that's the emphasis. It is character, and that's what he talks about throughout the book. Notice the quote on your outline: it doesn't matter how brilliant, charming, strategic, or commanding in presence a leader is, the consequences of a failed character are extraordinarily disabling and will bring down the strongest among us. And this is an interesting quote about what he says that happens in Japan. In corporate Japan, senior management sends a not-so-subtle message by assigning out-of-favor executives to the window seat or window job. The new assignment requires the banished executive to sit by a window with nothing to do. So that's what we do to kids when we send them to the corner. They're doing the same thing with executives, and that's a pretty strong warning signal that something's wrong. Notice that there's a list in your presentation outline of messages you could be ignoring. If any of these things happen, those are not good signs, and they lead. Now, this is a process. And on your presentation outline, I talked here about 5 stages that happens in derailment. The first one is a failure of self and other awareness. And what Tim Irwin says is they view themselves like through a foggy mirror. They lack awareness of and concern for others. They seem oblivious to the impact of their behavior on others and of the resulting failure to build a strong, aligned team. They also fail to see themselves. And then the last stage, of course, is derailment. The emissary comes to the leader's office and says, "I'm sorry, it's over. We all had high hopes for you here, but we need to help you leave in a way that preserves the company and maintains your dignity." This is the stage we read and hear about in the business meeting. We count the bodies and try to clean up the wreckage. For those of you that follow sports, it's like bring your playbook. You know, the coach calls you in because you're about to be cut. That's the same sort of thing that happens here. But it is a process. It obviously doesn't happen. Now, I wanted to show you in your outline, I took 3 areas of the book to give you some practical tips about derailment. And I couldn't pick all of these because then I might as well give you the book. But these are the 3 areas that I selected. One was how you develop self-management. Second, how you develop humility. And I'm planning to give this anonymously to a couple of people. And then develop courage, how you could do that as well. So it's practical, you know, and I think that's what makes this a very good book and why it's a bestseller. I hope you enjoyed that synopsis of Derailed by Tim Irwin.